What's up, everybody? It's me, Erica. Let me make sure this thing is on, girl. Okay, it's on. The little red dot is. I mean, the little green dot is so tiny that I can't really tell. What's up, everybody? I had to take my kid to school. He missed the bus. Well, he was standing there for a long time. He was like, "The bus is not here," and it was supposed to come, but he was out there. He went out there in time, so I don't know. So I had to take him. So I was gonna stop by Star Beezy's to get me a little. I actually was craving a coffee cake. I really want a coffee cake. I already have coffee, but I wanted a coffee cake. They have the apple croissants are back. I've had one, and that's all I'm gonna have. I had one. I went to go get some. I went to go get some lox. Yes, was that yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I went to go get some lox yesterday, and it used to be a Pete's coffee inside of there. I don't know what happened to Pete's, but now it's a Starbucks in there, and I was like, ooh. So I went and got me a latte, and then I saw they had the apple blossom croissant. I was like, give me one of those, because I did order a coffee cake at first, and I saw that they had the little apple blossom cheese dane or apple danishes, and I call them apple blossoms because they sell something similar at Trader Joe's. I don't know if they still have them, but they call them apple blossoms. It's just like a bunch of like good apple cinnamon goodness and encrusted in like a little croissant, but it's like folded and it looks like a little flower. So that's why I call them apple blossoms, but they're at Starbucks now. So we're in traffic a little bit. Girl, okay, so I did finish watching the things that I do for y'all, child. Ugh. I tried last night to watch it. I couldn't watch it. I was like, Cam Newton is so ignorant. And talking to him, do you see how he was the dialogue that he had with that woman? A lot of men talk like that in conversation. They want the conversation to go exactly the way they want it to go, and whether or not you're answering their question. If they feel at one point you are not answering the question that fits the narrative that they're, or the intention, he kept saying, that's not my intention, the way that you're explaining it wasn't the way I intended. Well, then speak clearly, sir. I love the fact that he could not grasp that she was not referring to him when she was talking, she was using terms high value and high functioning, which I've always thought that the term high value, to put a value set on a person, just gave me slavery, like selling people, putting them on a block and saying, how valuable are you for relationship or partnership or whatever. I did not like the fact that the only type of conversation that they were having in terms of relationships are romantic relationship. They didn't have any conversations about platonic relationships. They didn't have any conversations about very, very small, like family, like dynamics, when she was talking about, maybe your children will grow up and not move the way that you do. So yeah, she mentioned that. I still felt like she was speaking for the women who have hope that they will get married. I also felt like Cam Newton was speaking to the women who have hope, because there's a lot of dialogue online. It caused a lot of dialogue online because there are groups of women who are still hoping that the man that they want is out there. They believe that because they exist, that whatever they desire should automatically manifest. And it's not. You see, people are getting divorced after 39, 49 years. So this idea that you're going to hope to be in a relationship for the rest of your life is not real, and something that you have to detach from, because it's very fantastical, very much an illusion. He did put out the dog whistle, like I said, the dog whistle that I'm afraid of divorce, right? So that is going to put into a woman's brain, a woman who desires and feels that she deserves a good man, she is going to operate from a space, as women are socialized to do, to believe that she is going to be different from all the other women, despite being able to see that he has not treated any other woman differently than the last woman. But there's something that women have been socialized, and part of it is hating women. It's a self-hate. There's nothing deeper to me in the realm of like self-loathing than to abandon logic and to abandon the truth and to ignore the truth in your face that this man is unsuitable for partnership. You're ignoring that and you are entering into a relationship with a man who you believe that you are going to be the one to get him to marry you. You're going to be the one to get him to not fear of getting a divorce. A woman will always try to do that. Unfortunately, these same women who desire marriage from this man are also going to allow this man to have unprotected sex with her. His goal is to survive. His goal is not to partner with you to be a lifelong partner. His goal is to ensure that he survives another generation. And so he needs a vessel that he can make empty promises to. She's also been socialized to believe that she might be different from the rest of the women. So now she's provided a offspring for this man and slaps his last name on it. And now he gets to live another generation without making any type of commitment to anyone, not even the child. The child just needs to be there. He has no plan to parent the child. Now, he claims that he is involved in his children's life, and that's wonderful. But Cam Newton is not alone in the way that he thinks. He believes that he is a high functioning man. He truly, absolutely believes that, because he was going back and forth with this woman, interchanging the words, saying high vibrational, high functional. Her definition of high vibration or high functional is somebody who is not Cam Newton, somebody who is not Nick Cannon. Neither one of those men, based on that woman's own definition, are examples of high functioning men. High value, because the word value, we're going to associate that with currency, money, what he is able to do. Another thing that I didn't particularly care for was the consistent messaging of the Bible being the messaging, where Cam Newton does not even practice any of that. Why he keeps injecting that his mom and his dad have been together for a long time. His mom and dad probably giving me Michael and Evelyn Braxton teas, right? A long, compliant, suffering, silent woman who is going to stay because Jesus, some man in the sky, told her to sleep with the devil in her home. Yes, I've made that assumption of Cam Newton's mother and father's relationship. He mentions that relationship as if it was a healthy example, right? And I'm sure his father, I don't know too much about Cam Newton, but I can almost guarantee his father was not faithful. However, like I said the other day, the loophole in the false sense of monogamy, the loophole in the false sense of monogamy is that men are just going to be men. So a woman is more likely to accept a man, quote, misbehaving. The way that men are socialized to behave in society is deemed acceptable, right? You can like shake your finger, but they're not ashamed that they're not getting married. They're not ashamed. That's something that is, the shame is put on you. You don't have a man. Men are not shamed for not having wives. Now, by a certain age, there are some women who will say, well, if he doesn't have any children, something is going on. How come he's over 50 years old and he doesn't have any kids? Something must be, he might be gay, because men are socialized to do these things to create and impregnate and have kids, more, at least one. You don't have no kids and you over 50. Now everybody looking at you crazy and thinking, oh, you must be gay or something like that. Um, some of the things, hold on, let me see what some of the things that I said about Cam Newton. Oh, I actually said on um, the video, my comment was, it's pure comedy that she keeps using the phrase high functioning, and Cam Newton thinks that she's referring to him and men like him. You're just high value, sir. That means you have money, and that's the only reason why women allow you to do the things to them that you do. Women who partner with low value and low functioning men because society allows men to operate in this space. He kept trying to get her to agree that a woman who has a high emotional intelligence, who is a high earner, don't deal with men who are low functioning. I'm just using their phrasing for the sake of this conversation, but I don't agree with the word calling somebody high value. I don't agree with that. Never have. I just always likened it to selling human bodies. Um, Also, that high functioning, I can agree with that, because that says that the person is kind of in coming from a healed space, a place of some type of awareness. These men are only operating, you see, he wanted to talk about 50 Cent. He wanted to find out, if a man like 50 Cent, do you as a woman consider him high functioning and high value? I'm glad she did not talk about 50 Cent. You just want to measure dicks with that man. That's all you want to do. Um, I'm glad that she didn't allow him to gaslight the conversation. She knew when there are several times where she told him, don't flee. Basically, I saw him several times check out as she was talking. He only wanted to hear what he wanted her to say. And when he realized that, oh, this beautiful woman, one, will not date a man with children, it was over for him. She was like no longer qualified. He also tried to dismiss her by saying, oh, but you're single. Sir, you're single as well. So if you're telling me that, as somebody who, a psychologist, apparently the school that she went to no longer exists, but she's still accredited, is what is my understanding of her credentials. But this idea where a single person, a person who is not in a romantic, intimate partnership, cannot speak to people in romantic, intimate partnerships is actually very silly. It's very silly. It's very silly. To say that um to say that a person can't, like she tried to explain, like, if I'm talking to married people, I'm still dealing with two individuals. The reason why they're having the problems in their relationships is because these two individuals are trying to be in relationship with each other and they're not healed. I feel like the majority of relationships are like this. I feel like the majority of people entering into romantic, intimate partnerships should not be in romantic, intimate partnerships. But because ad nauseum, we spend days and days and days and days and generations and eons talking about romantic, intimate partnerships, people always only assume that that's where they should invest their time, and that's not true. Hi, what can I get for you today? Hi, do you have coffee cakes? I do. Do you want to warm up? Yes, please. Perfect. Anything else I can get for you? No, that's all. 425. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's see what I have. She said 425. That's what I want, a coffee cake. Yes, warmed up, my nigga. I have a lot of notes though. That's just not my problem. Not my problem. Niggas talking shit. Bitches talking shit is not my problem. Um, but I have a lot of notes, and I could read some of the, like, they do a AI summarized by AI. Some of the comments were: Cam struggles to interview a high value woman. Confident black woman educates Cam. Cam misunderstands the answers. Cam's ego clashes with Dr. Bryant's wisdom. He didn't listen. She elaborated. Interviewer lacks depth and credibility. Cam's choices hurt his children. And then this idea, y'all have to get out of like literally assuming that a man's presence makes a home better. And it's not true. It's not true. Cam Newton being married and still operating the way he operates, like actively cheating and creating babies and all this other stuff. Oh, I have a $5 bill. I have a $5. Hi. Thank you. Just keep it change. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Take your little tip, girl. Y'all have to stop because I feel like I'm just speaking plainly. I think you tell me in the comments, would people who come from two-parent homes, when the mother and father are not getting along, you would probably prefer the mother or the father or your parents to have been single and raised you happy rather than raised you miserable in their relationships and staying together for you. Right? You do more of a disservice for being, I feel like a home is more broken down from divorce than it is if the man was never in the house in the first place. I would rather Cam Newton, and I know that there are going to be women like, no, because you have been trained to believe that a man being next to a child and you, because it's really about you. When they yell single moms, you're still a mom. That just means you don't have a man next to you. And this idea that Cam Newton's presence in a nuclear familial setup dynamic is better, it actually isn't better. It's not better that if he was married to every woman that he had a child with, because what he would do is wreck that marriage. He would wreck that marriage and end up in divorce when she gets tired of him, right? Because he's not going to go anywhere. A man will stay as long as you will have him. He will turn your world upside down. As long as you keep him in your life, he will stay terrorizing you. You have to be the one to say, hey, I don't want this anymore. Then they'll turn around and say you created a broken home because you kicked that man out who was terrorizing you. This idea that a man needs to be there for the child in completely ignoring the effects that he has on the mother. So the mother needs to sacrifice her happiness so the child can stay next to its father. No, you have to get out of the home. Being out of the home should not negate or compromise your relationship to your child. You put the effort into the relationship that you want to have with the child. You do that, okay? So if a woman no longer wants you around her, that doesn't mean that that doesn't absolve your accountability and responsibility to the child. The child's last name doesn't have to be the man's last name. You do not have to be married to the man for the man to take care of his child. For crying out loud. I would rather Cam not marry none of those women than to marry one of them and then cheat on her, and then now his family now they're divorced. Now they're divorced. So let me read some of my comments from Twitter. I said Cam Newton is arrogant. Somebody says I don't like his condescending attitude. So I said Cam and men like him with this mindset are undeserving of partnership or children. Every woman who has a child with his DNA should change its last name. He's actually undeserving. I believe that most men and women are undeserving of their offspring. I said it too, women too. A lot of women don't deserve children. Just because you had them doesn't mean you should have. Doesn't make you a good mother either. There are a lot of human beings who procreated who should not have procreated. Sorry. Cam Newton and the way that he moves around, and men who move around the same exact way, are unsuitable for partnering, are unsuitable for offspring, should not be given the honor to have children running around with their last name, especially if they don't take care of them. This thing where it is an automatic, where you just slap a man's last name on a child just because he donated the sperm, is dead. That's out of here. I don't like his condescending attitude and his arrogant energy levels. The real issue here is that he doesn't want a wife, he wants a husband. The real issue is a lot of these niggas aren't allowed to be fully themselves. And I said, he's arrogant because he knows that he can put out a dog whistle, that he's afraid of divorce, which will put into a woman's head that she can possibly change him and get him to marry her. Cam just wants his DNA duplicated. He just needs a vessel who will think she'll be different. So I can sell you the false dream, little Elsa, of getting married to this man who has money, a football player. Oh, girl, you scored the jackpot. No, ma'am. He just needs you to duplicate his DNA. That's all he wants. And I'll give you a couple of deep tissue massages at the fucking at the Ritz and a Birkin bag, and you'll be fine. And let me pop this baby in you. You give the baby my last name, and marriage is never there, never comes for you, because that's what you really want. Because I felt like this woman was speaking for the unmarried woman. You're creating a broken home. No, he would actually create a more broken home if he married that woman, cheated on her. She's always peeping out of the window, checking phones, becoming an investigator, stressing the mother out. No, keep your ass out of this home. You are undisciplined. You have poor dick management skills. You irresponsibly ejaculate. You're creating what they consider broken homes. And they're considering that if Nick Cannon, Cam Newton, and the like are not involved in their children's lives, the child is going to somehow have a deficiency. When in all actuality, that type of man you keep far away from your child. A man who lacks structure, a man who lacks discipline, a man who lacks self-control. He doesn't have enough self-control to put a condom on. He doesn't have enough self-control to only have one child. No, he wants to have multiple children because he's in survival mode. You also heard Cam Newton say men operate on transactions. What can she do for me? Give him a baby, slap his last name on it. That's all he wants. He doesn't have to accomplish anything else in life. These are for the low value men who still have access to high value women. This idea, he wanted her to agree that women who are on the higher scale don't deal with men on the low scale. That's absolutely not true, especially if her only source of companionship come from black men. For 10 women dating a black man, 8 of them are higher value than that man. 8 of them are dating below their standards. Black women, if they are race loyal, when they date, they're already dating below their standards. I'm sorry to break it to you. It sounds awful, but based on the value, the annual earning income, the education level, the health level, what else? Education level, mental health level. These men are already low functioning, low on the scale. These men believe that they can promise a woman monogamy. They have no intentions of being monogamous. The men who have money. See, listen, the crazy part is y'all act like there's a distinction between men who have money and men who don't have money when the way they're socialized is exactly the same. It doesn't matter their education level, how deep their pockets are. It doesn't matter how emotionally intelligent they are. They are all socialized the same. Gay, straight, trans, cis, black, white, whatever. They are all socialized. I remember a few years ago, I was in the comments of somebody talking about black men this, and she wanted to be a dating coach trying to get black women to date black men. Girl, you setting the girls up. Because if you actually looked at the numbers and didn't operate from an illogical, fantastical world of delusion, you would actually see the numbers and then make a logical, informed decision and say, these group of men especially should not be who I'm choosing from. Because the probability of getting someone on the low scale is high. And why do they have to raise up? Why should they? The women will still be available. Just like this woman on Twitter said, men are trash. We already know men are trash. So then why do you keep trying to partner with something that you know is trash? I ask you. That's why men tell y'all you don't take responsibility for how we show up in society. Because if you took responsibility for how men showed up in society, you would stop dating men. Instead of trying to find one of the defective ones. Girl. Here's some other things that I had to say about Cam Newton. In the Matrix, where everything is upside down and contradictory, the women are scrambling to be connected to men who are only using them to reproduce and slap their last names on it. See, they give you the fantasy. That's why they tell you all the time you want to be lied to. You want the idea of a Prince Charming. She said she called it a fairy tale ideology. Some of us call it a princess syndrome, where you have an idea, little Elsa, from when you were a little girl of what this man should look like. And it's crazy because the first time you ever thought of your wedding, you didn't know the pathology of men. So now you're growing up and you don't understand why the men are acting like this, and you think it's you because you go to these male dating coaches who tell you how to contort yourself into whatever a man needs you to do in order for you to get picked. This is the basis of all this shit. The sole function of the illusion of marriage is to get you to duplicate a man in survival mode's DNA. He just wants his DNA duplicated. He just wants to make sure that he doesn't leave this earth, and his lineage doesn't end with him. And for the majority of men, their lineage should end with them. They should not be able to be reproduced. But we have women who have been sold this idea that they need to find a man, marry, and then they're okay with not marrying, because being married is not a guarantee for anything. It's not a guarantee for any kind of behavior or treatment. None of that. Men, you heard him kept trying to qualify her with you picking a man. What kind of man do you want? It was never a conversation about how do we focus on having healthy relationships outside of romantic, intimate partnerships. That is the romantic, intimate partnerships are a surefire way to get you to duplicate these men. They dangle marriage in your face, little Elsa, so that you can have an idea of the wedding or your day. You wanted your day since you were 8 years old. And he's promising you that, but he's also dicking you down with raw dick. And now he has a baby with you. Still no marriage, the marriage that you wanted so desperately. A lot of you are going to have to reconcile that he's not out there. No matter how many times you write it down in your manifestation journal, he is not out there. And if he is out there, he is not going to last forever, because you change, he changes, people change. And what you thought you liked for 5 years, you might not like at year 6. And that's the fucking truth. And that's why I said last night, I can't really talk about romantic relationships, because a lot of y'all and the women and men who counsel y'all on dating and relationships like that, they feed you romance, fantasy. They keep that a little bit of romance and fantasy, a little bit of hope. That's fantasy. Let's sell these women a little bit of hope. Let's tell you that that man is out there. One woman will get into a relationship, go on the internet and say, oh girl, I'm in a relationship, I finally got my ring. They're still out there. She is a symbol of hope. That ring is a symbol of hope, fantasy for y'all. When that woman finds her that man, and in 8 years or less, she'll be divorced from that man. A high probability that that woman who is flashing her ring and is so happy will be divorced from that man in 8 years for whatever reason. Finances, infidelity, not matching values. You woke up one morning, don't like the nigga anymore. Things happen. Stop marketing marriages forever. Stop marketing that's the only way that you can have, healthy relationships, is somehow being in a sexual relationship with somebody. That's one thing that I do not like. I do not like that messaging. And that's what I said. I'm here for the women and the girls who feel like something is wrong with all of this shit. And I don't like it. I don't like all of this shit, and I don't like the way it makes me feel. I don't want to participate in none of this shit anymore. I'm here for those girls who always felt like, God damn, something is not right. Okay, I am going to participate in it. You might have had a couple of children. You might have tried to get married, but you're like, even when you was walking down the aisle, even when you were sitting there in ceremony about to marry, and you're like, this is not going to last. I already know it's not going to last. But you went ahead with it, right? Even though you never wanted it, you still went along with it. That's who I'm here for. For the girls who are like, girl, this is dumb. First of all, dealing with these people is dumb. Trying to look and search for my entire life, that's dumb as hell and a waste of time. I would rather prioritize my relationship with myself. I would rather prioritize my relationship with my woman friends and my male friends who are platonic and gay. I'm talking for me. But I'm talking for me and the women who are like me, the girls and the boys and the non-binary kids who are like me. This shit doesn't make sense. I'm not spending my life participating in something that doesn't make sense. I tried it, deuces. I got the fucking magnet and the mug. I'm good. You can keep it. As a matter of fact, y'all can have all the men, all of them. Take them all, girl. Take them all of them. Take all of them. And spend the rest of your life looking for someone who is going to give you something that is unsustainable. How many years was Judge Mathis married? They're not the only ones. They call it a gray divorce. People are waiting like, oh girl, I'm not about to do this. People deserve to have the last part of their years happy and fulfilled and in reciprocal, mutually beneficial relationships that are cooperative and collaborative. Not this thing where you feel like because you have money, you can mold a woman into who you want them to be. I'm happy she told him, you're not molding anything. A woman is only doing what she's allowing you to do to her. While Jazzy is over there healing Cam Newton with her asshole, and he does whatever the fuck he wants, that's by design. Oh, I'm a healer. I do whatever he wants. I read his mind. I rub his back until he goes to sleep. You know how I know he's asleep? It's because his breathing slows down. So does everybody's, dumb bitch. Everybody's breathing slows down when they fall asleep. You rubbing a big nigga's back until he falls asleep and you thinking, oh, you know how I know that he's asleep? His breathing slows down. No shit. All of ours do. Dummy. You thinking you're doing something great while this man, when he's done, he's going to the next broad because he put out there that he's afraid of divorce. Jazzy, you just couldn't keep him. That's what it's going to be. That's the narrative. You couldn't keep that man. You couldn't get him to marry you. And then acting like being a child's mother, a baby mama, the stigma on that. You're making baby mamas. Girl, I'd rather be a baby mama than divorced. I would rather be a baby mama than to have ever considered illegally attaching myself to you. I would rather be a single mother than a divorced mother. Understand me. I would never have a man as undisciplined around my children, unstructured around my children, doesn't even have respect for his own body, having unprotected sex with multiple women. I would never want an example of a man like that around children. No children, girls, boys, no, non-binary, none. Niggas like Cam Newton, Nick Cannon, or any man like that, operating like that, running around, having unprotected sex with multiple women who will allow them to. These women are not being duped. Again, like I said the other day, the women are going towards a man with the resources. That's all they're looking at is the resources. The nigga ain't shit. You can't even have a conversation with him. Oh, no. Did you see when he asked her where she was from and she gave him an entire story? He checked out. He didn't care. These niggas do not care. And I don't give a damn what they say. They will never love your baby as much as you love your baby. So if you're around here trying to find a man who has money to procreate with, you make sure that that baby has your last name. Even if you are pulling a cash register baby, everyone knows that it is not a requirement for you to be on the birth certificate. It's not a requirement for you to have the last name. It's not a requirement for you to be married for a man to take care of a child he has provided the sperm to produce. None of that is required. So like Kalani's ex, the child's father, wants the baby to have his last name. No. No, doesn't work like that, sir. And you're not on the birth certificate. So you have nothing legally to say about nothing. Nothing. Should have thought about that. Let me see. I said he's not looking for a wife. He's looking for a woman who will think she'll be different and impregnate her. He said it. The ones who think they're going to be different. You hear the women and the way that they're talking, because one woman, she literally said, I'm going to show you what she said. It's the women who need deprogramming. The men are socialized to behave like this. And you are acting like you want marriage, but you're also accepting that this man cheats on you in your marriage. Because how many times do women have the conversation, do men cheat more than women? Or what's the other thing? What's the other question they have? Do men cheat more than women? Are men capable of being faithful? And is cheating a deal breaker? What? Putting my life at risk should absolutely be a deal breaker. A man sticking his raw dick in another woman and you coming home and him coming home and you putting your lips around it should be a deal breaker, girl. But no, you've been socialized, because boys will be boys and men will be men. You've been socialized to accept bad behavior that puts your life at risk from men. Because if you let go of that man, something is wrong with you too. Your value is determined on whether or not you have a man in proximity to you and if that man made a choice to marry you. That's where your value lies. Like that other comment that Kev on stage posted for somebody on Twitter. There was a woman who said, I don't care what y'all say, you can't be over 30 and be happy single. She has equated her happiness to having a human being in her proximity. This thing where y'all operate in a codependent relationship with another human being, that's dead too. That's out of here. That's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. Cam said single people can't coach people. He's attempting to disqualify her because he thinks because she just said something he didn't like. However, he's a single unmarried man. Kevin Samuels, a single unmarried man. I think he was a divorced man giving women advice. What could you give me, sir? If I was a divorced woman up here giving advice, you know how many men would disqualify me because you couldn't stay married? However, all these men divorced and failed relationships, they're sitting on platforms giving advice to women that don't serve them. One thing women must stop doing is going to straight heterosexual men for dating advice. They will never give you advice to serve you. Their advice will always be male-centered, and if they mention the Bible, off rip, the Bible doesn't serve women. So if they're using the Bible as their springboard, let's just know it will not serve you at the end. You want to be like Cam Newton's mama? You want to be like Evelyn Braxton? Here, listen to this.
To understand or to fight for something if her resources are single women.
I agree.
Are bachelorettes.
I agree.
Are divorcees.
I agree.
Are certain situations, and I'm like, so they say birds of a feather?
Yeah.
You mean to tell me the only good girl out of all these?
And another thing, people give advice from their results.
The translation to what he just said was, when a woman in a relationship, in a marriage, has friends who are single, divorced, you're the only good girl. That means that you're the only one a man will pick, because he won't pick the single women. He won't pick the divorced women. He's going to pick you. You mean to tell me you're the only good girl in your crew? He completely eliminating and ignoring, sir, look at the flock you belong to. Birds of a feather flock together. That could be applied to you. You're a man who lacks self-control. Yeah, you're an athlete, but you have no discipline when it comes to your dick. You have no self-control when it comes to your dick. So while you're over here telling a woman, oh, your resource of information can't be women who are single. You know why? Because the woman who is single is going to tell that woman, yeah, while they tell you don't let the devil in your house, you're actually laying next to the devil. He's the devil, girl. Listen to what he said.
Good girl out of all these. It's going to be hard for that individual to understand or to fight for something if her resources.
To fight for something. Don't they tell y'all to fight for your relationship? You're fighting for what? While this man is completely creating chaos in your life, cheating on you, disagreeable, no, doesn't want to talk, can't express his emotions, only knows how to express the emotions of anger and lust. And that's it. That's it. But they want you to fight for your marriage. They want you to fight for it. But your source of information, the women telling you to fight for your marriage, they have to be other miserable married women. You understand? They cannot be single women. They cannot be a woman like me, because I will tell you all this shit he's telling you is some bullshit. Get the fuck up out of there. No, her resource of information have to be another woman saying, girl, don't let the devil in your house. Girl, don't let these single women keep you from your Boaz. Motherfucking nigga is a hoe ass nigga. That's who he is. Y'all looking for Boaz and you getting a bunch of hoe ass niggas. That's what you getting. Shit.
Are single women.
I agree.
Are bachelorettes.
I agree.
are divorcees.
I agree.
This is an unmarried man telling women that a woman who is in a relationship that she can't get her source of information from women who are bachelorettes, who are single, or who are divorced. This is an unmarried man. He's already setting it up. I don't want you around your single friends because your single friends are going to tell you that I ain't shit. So I don't want her around. Niggas don't want me around. They don't want a bitch like me. They can't stand me. Because I'm not going to allow you to gaslight. I'm going to make you stay focused on the question at hand. You're not going to be able to flip it, deflect, or any of that shit. I said, translation, it's going to be hard for her to fight for her man, the devil in her home, if she has women around her who are going to decode all the pick-me bullshit the miserable married women aren't going to warn her about. Birds of a feather, but the nigga won't look at his own flock. I don't even like the way Cam Newton is asking questions. The preoccupation with needing to see a romantic relationship in order to determine if you're able to have a healthy relationship is grossly short-sighted. Examples of healthy relationships aren't limited to romantic ones. Cam said nobody wants to find someone worth going to hell for. He goes on to say that's real love. That's something that came from his silent, suffering, compliant mother. Why is there an association between hell and love as a measurement of authenticity? That's psychotic. These people believe that your purpose on earth is to be romantically partnered using religion to sell it. That's nasty work. Cam is a user. Yes, birds of a feather flock together, and all you niggas are vultures lurking for dizzy prey to impregnate and extract from. See, y'all don't want me to talk about it because I'm just going to put it plain. That's all they want y'all for is to survive. And that's it. Call it marriage. Call it whatever you want. Bitch, all they need you to do is, oh my God, I want to be married. Let me find a nigga. Okay, the nigga's going to keep you on a string for how long? You still having unprotected sex. So now you have babies by the nigga. He never marries you. The other women are saying, oh my God, you're not worth it. After all these years, he still hasn't picked you. He still hasn't put a fucking... Even though you've been in a relationship with this person for years and years and years, he didn't pick you. And so therefore you're not valuable. How come he didn't pick you? Nick Cannon and Cam Newton's mindset is so scary. Successful, articulate, capable, educated, handsome black men with the access to have an equal partner in marriage, but willingly find these impressionable, dare I say, weak-minded women and make broken homes on purpose. I said, Cam Newton and Nick Cannon's mindset is an acceptable socialization. They're successful, yes. Articulate, no. Capable, no. Educated, no. Handsome, that's subjective. Black men, no. Have access to equal partners? No, they don't want that. You heard him say, I have the means to mold a bitch into whatever I want her to. That bitch is going to change into a pretzel because I got a couple commas in my account. That bitch will let me fuck her in the ass and cry in the shower later. She will admit on national TV she don't fucking like it. But she's a healer. She does whatever I want her to. These bitches will turn into pretzels. Look at Shawnee. She went from being the basketball wife to the village whore to the fucking village whore in the fucking church, asking and grifting and asking motherfuckers for money. She done flipped into a goddamn pretzel and went from a basketball wife to a preacher's wife. And guess what? The niggas ain't different. They're the same. You think Shaquille is any different from this other nigga? No. One is just carrying a Bible. The other one's carrying a basketball. Look at Jamal Bryant carrying a Bible. Ain't nothing different from him and all these other. Cam Newton, he's carrying a ball. The other motherfucker's carrying a Bible. They have the same mentality. That motherfucker can have commas in his bank account. He's treating the same way fucking Puffy is treating Cassie. There's a broke nigga treating a woman the same exact way. That socialization is acceptable. Men will be men, girl. And you know that. That's why y'all will sit around and have a conversation, a literal conversation that says, girl, is him putting my life at risk a deal breaker? Like, y'all sit around and have conversations like that. This man is cheating on you. And you're sitting around in a circle with other women asking each other, is that a deal breaker? And you're going to tell me that men are not socialized to mistreat women and you're socialized to accept it? You will sit around with women and pontificate on a man putting your life at risk and say, is that a fucking deal breaker? Bitch, it should be. Especially with the HIV rates looking the way they do. Because while you want to say, oh, maybe they're bisexual, no, they're having sex with other women. And y'all are contracting this virus. Because it's acceptable for a man to put a woman's life at risk, whether she's having a baby for him, your life is being put at risk, or whether you're allowing him to stick his raw dick in other women and he bring it home and you sit on it and put it in your goddamn mouth and ass. You actually sit around and say, is cheating a deal breaker? Huh? You'd rather stay connected to a man who doesn't give a fuck about your life. You would rather stay connected because society will say, girl, you couldn't keep a man, so you might as well stay with him, full of all the germs he's given you. Full of all the germs, all the STIs, all the STDs, all the viruses, all the diseases, all the infections. You sit around with other women and say, is cheating a deal breaker? These men believe that you will change yourself and contort yourself, do a double axle, girl, for these men. And they know it. That is the reason why Cam said what he said about, I can do whatever I want. I can change her. And she had to make it clear, no, these women are they're submitting to your behavior. They're allowing you to act this way. Because you have said you're just afraid of divorce. So in their mind, there's an opportunity. There's some potential there. There's potential that he may ask you. So you're going to wait around and stay around until you get tired. And he is not going to go anywhere. He'll still come and fuck you. He'll still come and do all of those things like Nick Cannon is doing with those women. I honestly don't believe that Nick Cannon actually had sex to produce all his children. I believe that these children it was IVF. I truly believe, I do not believe, if y'all are around here doing that, then that's weird as hell, but y'all swapping raw nigga juice together, all your pH balances are off, but that's socially acceptable. You're not in poly relationships. You're lying to these women saying that you're going to be monogamous and you're not. I would rather be a baby mama, a single mother, than a divorced mother. And I'm not saying anything is wrong with being a divorced woman. What I'm saying is, I would rather not have the man there at all than the man there wreck the whole fucking shit up and then have to split and get him out of the fucking place. And then put children through being children of divorce. A lot of you would probably have preferred your dad not being there than him being there and creating the environment that your parents had, instead of them actually breaking up their relationship and getting a divorce. Weak may have been too harsh. Weak doesn't represent their perpetual state, but possibly just a temporary vulnerable state. No, like the woman said, you are not high functioning and attracting a high functioning man. right? There's no way that, look at the relationship that you were in and you decided to break up, and what you allowed in that relationship, and what you learned from that relationship, and how you grew. And when you look back on that relationship, you can say, I actually was coming from a very unhealed place. I haven't healed my abandonment, rejection, codependency, whatever issues that you have to heal. We're just jumping from relationship to relationship, instead of actually going into a mirror and saying, this is what I need to fix about myself. There's no way me, if I was high functioning and self-aware, would I have attracted the man that I had children with. I actually attribute that to the law of attraction, because you have a list of things you don't want in a man, and you actually attract everything you don't want in a man. There's no way you could have been a woman who is self-aware, who had her standards set at a certain level and attracted that man. There's no way that man could have gotten close enough to you to ejaculate his sperm in you if you had high self-esteem. There's no way. So you do have to acknowledge, no, you weren't the brightest at that moment when you accepted this man and stayed with him however long you stayed with him, even after you saw the red flags. This idea that a broken home is broken because there's not a man there is another lie. Okay? My home with my 2 children is not broken. It's not. I asked my sons the other day, can you imagine if we lived and your father and I never broke up? They said no. They said, I can't imagine that. I would not want that. I would not want that. Can you imagine if I was the type of woman that was like, I'm going to stay for the kids, and now I'm miserable? I have all these kind of dis-ease like forming in my body because I'm constantly in this state of fight or flight. And he says his home is a refuge. No, not a refuge, a sanctuary. It's not a place for you to come and refuge. No. This is a place of sanctuary. Everything, armor, all of that stuff needs to be at the door. So the idea that a woman without a man in the home, or a man not in the home with his child under the same roof, is a broken home is a lie. A lot of these homes are peaceful, tranquil, in order, collaborative, cooperative. Disagreements, yes, disagreements happen, but hostility, a constant state of fight or flight, none of that. So just because a man is not under the same roof with his child doesn't mean that that home is broken. His relationship to the child is what's important, not his proximity to the mother. See, they make it seem like his proximity to the mother is what makes the home broken. But a lot of these mothers don't want these raggedy ass motherfuckers in their home. That doesn't mean you can't have a relationship with your child. So we have to stop acting like a man not being under the same roof as his child is a broken home. It is not a broken home. Now, if he's not in relationship with his child, and it's because they're not under the same roof, then you don't deserve a relationship with your child. You don't deserve to use the mother as a scapegoat on whether or not you will have a relationship with your child. Stop scapegoating. Oh, she don't let me see. No, you don't call. You one of those niggas who call your children and like, why you ain't call me? And I'm speaking generally. And I can speak generally because that is the culture. The American culture is not a marrying culture. People don't get, that's not a part of the culture. They force you to believe that that's something that you want. I would say getting a divorce is more of an American culture than getting married. Because the women are understanding that this is a grift. This is a scam that Todd set up, and a scheme that Todd and Candy set up. Girl, this is a scheme that the people set up. At the end of the day, Cam Newton is not going to change. He has no need to change. He already put the dog whistle out there to say, hey, I'm just afraid of divorce. That's just a dog whistle for women to be like, oh, well, maybe I'll be different. Jazzy's butthole might have not been big enough. Maybe I will be different. Maybe I will be the one that he marries. Maybe I will be the special one. Meanwhile, you have a baby by him, and that's all he wanted. And I'm going to go out and find the women that I know that if I create a baby with these women, the child would look a certain way. It's very intentional. She told him basically, yeah, you're in survival mode, but what you're doing, but see, she's telling him that he's creating broken homes. No, I think the home would be more broken if he married these women and had multiple divorces. See, that doesn't sound good to a lot of y'all, because a lot of y'all are only associate, okay, well, he needs to marry her. No. A lot of these women actually are doing better by not actually marrying these men. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Dr. Bryant's agenda is the man should be in the home, married preferably. She doesn't address the child's needs, but using them. Her concern is that unmarried woman. She's not even considering how irresponsible he is and what the damage a present irresponsible father can do to a child. Y'all don't even think about that. Y'all just want the nigga there. No. What kind of damage does a man like Cam Newton and Nick Cannon and men like him do to a child witnessing and watching? I would rather you get the fuck out my house with all that shenanigans. Get out of my house. You have poor dick management. You are unstructured, undisciplined. You don't even love yourself, because nobody who loves themselves will put their lives at risk that many times. So get away from my child. I do not want my child witnessing that a man in that state at all. Can you imagine what he would be teaching his children and what they would be teaching their children if he was allowed to be in the home, cheating on the mom, putting the mother's life at risk? No. The way that women would take their power back by simply not naming children after men, it would really put a dent in all this shit. Married or not, most men do not deserve offspring with their last name. The patriarchy has made it a given and even has you begging for their last names. He's arrogant because he knows that he can put out a dog whistle, that he's afraid of divorce, which will put into a woman's head that she can possibly change him. You shouldn't be begging a man who is unstructured, undisciplined, and has no self-respect to marry. No woman should be trying to attach herself with a man who operates like that. No woman should be ashamed by not being married to a nigga who practice irresponsible ejaculation. A man who sticks his raw dick in any warm, wet hole is 360 degrees unstable. There's nothing on him that is remotely would qualify him to being a suitable partner. The same way they don't fuck with you hoes is the same way you shouldn't fuck with them hoes. A man having sex with a bunch of women is a whore, and no one should lay down with him unless he is an actual sex worker getting paid for his services. But these niggas, they don't even care to get paid. They just want to lay in any fucking wet hole and spray it up with their manure. And it's putting your life at risk because you want to be chosen by somebody. Fuck that shit. Cam Newton and Nick Cannon's kids are lucky their fathers aren't married to any of their mothers, stressing them out because he has irresponsible dick management. Keep them undisciplined niggas away from your children. Cam Newton is not an example to anyone. Nick Cannon is not an example to anyone. None. Men like that are not good examples to no one. I don't care how much money they have. The fact that they put their own lives at risk, they are not an example to no woman, no man, no child. They're poor examples, awful examples, destructive examples, dangerous examples of men. Y'all are only concerned with a man being in proximity to the mother, no matter how damaging his behavior is to her. A cheating husband is worse than you being a baby mama. I promise the kids with solo parents prefer happy single parents over you miserable married ones. Or you're in a long-term relationship unmarried with the father of your children and he's still stressing you out. It's the same difference whether you have a paper or not. You letting a motherfucker stress you out? You letting a man put your life at risk? I'm here to tell you, sweetie, that's not it. If a man has cheated on you and stuck his dick in another woman, he doesn't love you. He doesn't love himself. Putting your life at risk to deceive you. Unzip his pants, pull his pants down, climb into a bed or a backseat of a car or up against a bathroom wall, take his pants down and get in between another person's legs. He doesn't love himself and doesn't love you, doesn't love his children, doesn't love his family. Martell doesn't love Mel. He never did. He put her life at risk. He hit her with a double whammy. He was sticking his raw dick in a bitch during COVID, bitch. Bitch, he don't give a fuck about nobody in that house.
Based on divorce, babe, divorce.
None of them kids. Not his wife, nor his children. He had to have his dick in Ariane during COVID, my nigga. Leaving the house. No self-control, no discipline. Martell Holt doesn't deserve access to those children. Look at you and how you behave and how you show up in the world. Unstructured, undisciplined, no self-control, no self-love. You don't deserve children, sir. You don't deserve children running around with your last name, and you don't deserve to be in proximity to these children. You're a dangerous person. He would have multiple divorces because every woman who thinks she would be a different wife experience, would have the same experience as the previous wife. Then he cheats on her so that he would actually have more than one divorce. The reason why I don't like to talk about relationships is because you're always teetering on the edge of fantasy and nobody speaks plainly. And when you speak plainly, you sound cynical as fuck, but it be the real shit that motherfuckers need to hear. And that's what it is. A woman's purpose, and I'm going to end this. A woman's purpose, your purpose, person with a vagina and a uterus with the ability to produce a child. Your purpose here is not to get married. It is not to reproduce. If you don't desire marriage, it is okay. If you don't want children, it's definitely okay. Your life's purpose here is not determined on whether or not you can reproduce another human being. Your journey is finding yourself and rising up from your lower chakras, survival mode. Stop running around in survival mode. That's why men run around trying to find somebody to reproduce. They're in survival mode. They're operating from their lower chakras. That's why they're only concerned about fucking and money. That's it. They don't care nothing about what's going on up here. Your job here is to rise up and to connect and come in communion with your higher self. Not connect with a man and reproduce a human. That is not your purpose here. You're not a cow. You're not a machine. You're not a maid. You're not a mule. And you're not a mattress for some motherfucker to lay on you and shoot the club up and use your body as a fleshlight. That is not your purpose. And I'm down here for the girls who can't stand the romance, who can't stand to sit around and talk about niggas all day with their friends, who have put their stock and priorities into developing their relationships with themselves and other women. That's what I'm down here for. I'm not down here to try to say, oh, girl, you can be in a relationship. He's out there, girl. You can find him, girl. No, they're not. Yes, all men. All of them motherfuckers ain't shit until they prove otherwise. Okay? All right, I gotta go. I gotta go to the bank. Take care of each other. Protect your energy. I was gonna read some more comments. Should I? We can come back. We can come back later. She's telling him that being unmarried created broken homes. That would mean that homes without men are broken. They're not. Some of them are the most stable without the presence of a man who isn't disciplined. He's best left unmarried. He's actually doing everyone involved a service. Stop trying to make men who are undeserving. Like, see, that's the problem. Y'all think every man is the potential to be partnered, is the potential to be a father, and they've allowed, you guys have allowed them access. We have allowed them access when they don't deserve access. The majority of men don't deserve access to women. The majority of men do not deserve to be duplicated. The majority of men do not deserve having children with their last names around here. The majority of men do not deserve to live another legacy. I will die on that hill. Yes, all men until they prove otherwise. You don't give no man the benefit of the doubt off rip. No, you have to prove yourself, sir. You have to prove that you're not like these other men, because I guarantee you in a 30-minute conversation, you're going to prove to me that you are in fact like these other men, even though you are othering yourself like you're not like these other men, sir, when you are in fact just like them. Keep talking. Let them keep talking. Stick the microphones in their face. Let them talk. Let them sit in their arrogance and talk and let y'all know, even though y'all are still riddled with delusion and illusion and fantasies and trying to get a glass slipper somewhere, y'all not listening. I'm here to unwind your eyes and shake your shoulders, my dear. All this shit is fake. That all, you're not here to reproduce or marry anyone. You being connected to them to a man has literally no value. Being connected to a man has no value. There is no value there. The value that you have placed on being in proximity to a man is the same value that I can place into this paper bag, into this that I'm about to throw in the trash, because it's been in here. So I need to just throw it in the trash. No value. This has more value than you being connected to a man. God damn it. A penny has more value than you being connected to a man. There's no value there. I'm here to break that shit up. I don't give a fuck what y'all say. These men believe, and the world has socialized you to believe that your value is determined on whether or not you can get one of these raggedy ass, po ass, tired ass,
po ass, raggedy ass, slow ass niggas.
slow ass, 8th grade reading level ass niggas to connect to y'all. Fuck that. And I'm the bitch that Cam Newton doesn't want you around, that Nick Cannon doesn't want you around, and your man probably doesn't want you listening to. Because he may not like it, but I bet you one thing, he can't call me a lie. He can never say, none of your niggas can say she's lying. She ain't lying. I just don't like what she's saying, because what she's saying might wake your ass up. Take care of each other. Protect your energy. Peace.